Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our town hall talk. We are here with the four of us from the Health Collective, myself, Karen Slapp, Dr. Meredith McMichael, Lindsay Ray, and Julie Hoster, to chat a little bit about healing journeys and how they've shown up in our lives, in the lives of those we treat, and how we collectively work here at the Health Collective in Penn Yan. So welcome to everybody. Does everybody want to kind of chime in and say hello and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Dr. Meredith.
And I'm Lindsay Ray. I'm a massage therapist at the Health Collective.
I'm not actually a participant. So I'm on out today, guys. I want to stay out of it. So I'm just here watching. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Yep. Okay.
Okay. All right.
That's Julie, our acupuncturist. But she's not here. She's participating.
Not really here.
She's not really here. She's not here.
Okay.
Very cool.
Part of it.
Very cool. So we're here talking about our topic for discussion today is the healing journey. And that really feels like a great place to start off by defining what is a healing journey. I think this is one of those phrases that is showing up in a lot of different ways and a lot of different modalities lately. And I think it gets to be something that encompasses all types of care for ourselves, for our body, for our mind, and our emotions, and all of that. So we'll start there by defining what the healing journey is. I know for what I do, the healing journey usually involves a bit of a journey through our emotions, through our energy, through some of our life experiences and how they show up in our body and our mind, and then within our energetic self as a whole. And often, as we move through one understanding, there's another one that sits behind it and gives us even more to know about ourselves. And as we heal on an energetic and a spiritual level, often I feel like that influences our physical and our mental level as well. So that's my little nugget of defining what a health healing journey is.
So my definition of a healing journey is it all depends on where you're at in life, guys. What season of life are you in? What can you put your attention on right now? What feels right to you to work on? Like Karen said, there's a lot of different aspects of your healing journey, from your physical healing journey to your mental healing journey to your chemical healing journey. So, being a chiropractor and nutritionist, I work along the lines more of the physical healing journey and the chemical healing journey. So, what we put in our bodies, how the foods, the supplements, the vitamins, the medications you take on a daily basis, how they affect your chemical makeup. But not only that, then through chiropractic, how does your physical body show up each day? Are you able to do everything you ever wished you could? Or are you like, I'm struggling to get out of bed right now? Like bending over to put my shoes on is difficult. So we all have different starting points. Like I said, it all depends on where you want to start.
Absolutely, I agree with with all of the above. And one thing that I've noticed over these last multiple years as a health and wellness practitioner is that wellness takes many forms and it looks different for everyone. And not only that, but there are so many different types of wellness. Dr. Meredith, you touched upon that briefly. I mean, from physical wellness to emotional wellness, nutritional wellness, and even social wellness. It's an ever-changing and evolving kind of multi-dimensional practice and concept. And with that being said, what might be well for you one day, we'll touch upon this in a little bit, but it's kind of cold outside, it's raining, it's kind of windy. It might be good to balance that by some sort of rigorous exercise or eating some spicy foods. On the flip side, hot and sunny days, it might be good to have like some cold water and things like that. So it's really ever changing. And in my practice through massage therapy and yoga, it's a very, very common, like these patterns are very, very common, and they're not necessarily unique they're unique to everyone, but it's like through the macrocosm of wellness where we're all kind of experiencing these changes ourselves as far as like what's good for us at certain times of the year, day, and life and things like that. So it's really just ever changing. It's really ever changing, and we're all kind of experiencing a lot of these things at the same time.
I love it. I have one more thing to add to that because you talking reminded me. Sometimes this looks like adding more into your life, more into whatever aspect of health, whatever part of your healing journey you're on. But sometimes it looks like taking back, removing things. Maybe it's too much for you right now. So, again, this is where everyone's healing journey is different. And are you in a season where you need more, where you have the capacity for more? Or are you in a season where you need to slow down? You need to take away some of this because right now it's too much, too overwhelming, too overstimulating for your healing journey.
Absolutely. One of the notions that I think of when you talk about that is with the idea of a meditation practice or that energetic self-care practice or your spiritual practice, that definitely changes up. And often we can shift into a meditation that maybe takes you a little bit deeper when you're ready to move through something or you're ready to heal from something. But when you're just coming off of a big opening or a big life experience, you don't really want to do the work of it. So you want to have something that helps to create that peace and that ease. So there is so often we can accent and go with the flow of where you're at and adjust things as you need because we need different things. Absolutely.
And then I think this flows us into perfectly how we wanted to talk about whether do you dive headfirst into the deep end and change everything, do all the things, or do you take it slow, step by step, down the stairs into the shallow end and get a taste of everything before you fully submerge your body in whatever healing practice it is that you're doing? And I'll be honest, guys, I've done both. I've gone head first, sometimes head first so fast that I hit the bottom of the pool and I'm like, crap, that was not smart. But other times, going slow, taking it one step at a time, sometimes that's worked for me. That's felt really good. Or sometimes I'm like, God, this is so boring. Can we speed up the process? So, again, let's chat a little bit about, do you like slower, one step at a time, or would you rather dive in, give it your all?
So I think it depends. It really, let's see. So naturally, my personal drive is I want to be fully immersed. I want to, whatever it is, like for instance, right now I'm in a new training. I'm learning another healing modality that I'm very excited about. So I'm reading all of the books. I'm totally immersed in the classes. I'm changing my diet, all of that. And I've realized that part of the practice is to not almost feeding like with like. So my personality is very fast-paced and intense, and I want to be involved as much as I can whenever I can, regardless if it's a healing practice or a wellness practice or whatever.
Absolutely.
Some healing practices will say, because I have that natural drive to jump into the deep end, then I should stay in the shallow end. Because that just would balance out my personal energetic body type, my physical, or excuse me, my energetic body type, I guess. That's kind of another dimension entirely. But I think you get the gist of what I mean. By naturally wanting to jump into the deep end, it might be better for me to balance myself out by staying in the shallow end, and vice versa. If you want to kind of tiptoe yourself in and just dabble a little bit, maybe with Reiki and energy and understanding the more gross parts of your energetic body, then maybe work into the more subtle. If that's your natural nature to be in the more subtle, then jump right in. It really depends. It really depends.
Absolutely. I often think about the notion of when you talk about diving right in and fully immersing yourself, because I'm very much the opposite with fully immersing myself. If I fully immerse myself, I'll be hyper focused on it for a week, and then it's going to fall to the side and I'm going to lose, and there's going to be no longevity to it. However, sometimes that excitement really helps you take it all in and grab onto, like you said, experience it all so you can grab onto the pieces that work with you long term. But I know I have witnessed many people in their meditation practice come to me and be like, I can't meditate, because they've taken a 30-minute meditation off of Spotify or YouTube and they've never meditated before, and they sit down and they get 5 minutes in and they're off doing their laundry because this doesn't work for me. And it's a very quick step to, I just can't do it, instead of, okay, let's just learn to sit for 5 minutes, because our body has this momentum that we, in our mind and our energy has this momentum that we forget. Okay, let's slow down and teach ourselves to sit for 5 minutes first, and then add in some of those tools for meditation. So absolutely. But you're right. I guess I appreciate your notions, Lindsay, because I look at my hyper focuses a little different now. Like when I get hyper focused on something, maybe I'm bringing it all in to pick what resonates and leave the rest. Absolutely. Very cool.
So then what you said, Karen, this just really hit home. So yeah, you're gonna do this thing. You're so excited about it. But what happens on the flip side if you know you should do this thing, but you're like, oh my God, that's gonna be terrible. That's the worst decision. That's the worst thing I could ever do. Who in their right mind would think that's possible? So then, can anyone touch on that a little bit? Like, I totally get like you're all excited, you're all in, but what about those of us that are like, that sounds horrible?
Can I just say one? Can I interject?
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
I always, I think about more like peeling an onion. Sometimes it's a little bit strong, sometimes, and each time you go, like get to one healing phase, something else reveals itself, whether it's spiritually, but so it kind of changes. And I think pushing yourself in ways that are uncomfortable can be beneficial sometimes, but generally your body and your spirit, that's what we're trying to do, is help them understand that their spirit, their body will lead them and kind of bring them all together, I guess. But it is like peeling an onion. Like sometimes you're like, you know what, I gotta push through this. And then other times it's like, yeah, I gotta, this part of the onion or whatever it is, I gotta kind of mellow out. So I guess peeling an onion is not a great term, but kind of taking away layers, I guess would be great. And that's change, I think, personally, as it changes for me. And my patience. But all right, I want to stay out of this. I just want to listen. All right, bye.
Absolutely. I like that, and the notion of the peeling of the onion. I actually just pulled out I'm very visual. I pulled out an onion to use the other day, and there's the outer layers of the onion that, because it was the onion you used in a couple of recipes ago, and that you don't want to use that part anymore, so you have to take it off like that. I'm going to keep that in mind, Julie. Thank you.
Exactly. Yep. Somebody just.
Why is everything
Absolutely.
about onions lately? I know this is totally sidetracked, but like 2 days ago, maybe it was last week, I don't know, my days are blurring together. Karen was talking about onions, and yeah, they make you cry. They suck when you cut them up. It's a horrible process to go through. But
Yes.
then Matt made a soup the other night and we didn't have an onion and it tasted like crap because you needed the onion to marinate everything in the beginning. So then I come in the next day and I'm like, no, we need the onion. I don't care if it makes you cry when you cut it up. I need it.
So
Exactly.
to go on this tangent just like a little bit farther, I'm sorry. If you take a wet washcloth or a wet paper towel and stick it next to the onion while you cut it, it's the I don't know, whatever gets released from the onion will naturally draw to that paper towel because what would you call it? Like the what gets released? Like the
Like the
Like the
vapors.
gases or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna go to the closest water source, which would be your eyes. So if you put a paper
Oh.
towel, a wet paper towel next to it, it won't be as bad. Just a little
So
Italian
maybe
humor
a wet
I just
paper
share with
towel.
you guys. That I guess could be
Works.
classified as health too.
Absolutely. Nutrition
Absolutely.
cooking 101 right
That's
here.
right.
I love
Oh
it.
my goodness. Oh my
I'd have to say one of my onions in life is working out. That is not something that I have ever been able to dive that's the hyper focus. I'll dive in and then I let it go. And I haven't ever had a regular consistency because that physical body care is not where I show up. I show up emotionally and spiritually. So that physical is the onion in my life. And it wasn't until recently that I've connected it to the energetic part. And I have found consistency and forgiveness in that process for me that I've been able to find a regular rhythm with that. And I found my own expression in that that makes it a valid part of my life. And like it's now part of the soup versus I don't want to cut up the onion because I don't want to cry. So I found my paper towel.
And then I guess that kind of leads us into like the next thing we wanted to talk about is giving yourself forgiveness that it's okay to not be perfect. We all have those days. You guys know one of my main focuses that I love every day that is a huge part of like my health and wellness routine is to take Echo for a walk every day. But guys, we're in New York right now. Have you seen the weather outside? It's absolutely miserable. You aren't going to catch me out there. And I was very tough on myself yesterday for not doing it. Like, put on a jacket and a scarf and hat. Let's go. Like, you'll be fine. So, you know what I did today? I gave myself forgiveness last night, but today I still wanted to do it. So before we got on this call, I'm actually on my walking pad in the office in my fuzzy socks. So I'm still trucking. It's not very fast. It's not outside in the nice fresh air. It's not with the dog, but I'm still moving my body. Was it as fast as I normally walk or as far as I normally walk? No, but at least I moved my body for 20 minutes. So this kind of takes me back to my little tangent of a little bit is better than nothing because I could have sat here, I could have scrolled social media, but what would that have done for me? I would have gone home feeling like garbage. So, like I said, it wasn't my best walk, but I did it. Sorry for going off on another
No,
rabbit hole.
no,
I feel
no,
like
that's
I
that's
got a
perfect.
lot of those today.
I love the notion of the overarching theme of flexibility with like Lindsay was talking about the season change and you mentioned the season change and like the seasons of life and how do we want to lean in and how do we want to kick it off. That idea of being flexible creates an awareness so we don't have to have it be a rigid certain process, but it gets to show up in different ways. That's really cool. Thank you for bringing that up.
So while we're on it, do we want to talk about like releasing that judgment, forgiving yourself, taking it easy on yourself sometimes? But then, having that fine line between, okay, today was not so good, but no, you really need to get your butt moving and get on with your walk.
Yeah, I admittedly, when we were having discussions about some of the things that we could talk about tonight, those concepts of responsibility and accountability um, in the past have been triggers for me. And so the idea of forgiveness and judgment maybe showed up a little too much at times. So I think that those notions of responsibility and accountability versus forgiveness and judgment is absolutely something that's important in this process.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Is my mic on? Yes. Okay, cool. Um, I think there's a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves as a westernized society. And wow, this is a big rabbit hole, and I'm not going down it, but I think the what we can really do is the best that we can do. And, just taking a little bit of time in your day, whether it be to acknowledge yourself, that might be good enough. And if you have a day where it's like, you eat junk food and you binge watch Netflix and I don't know, like are on your phone until 2 o'clock in the morning, and the next day you feel like garbage, forgive yourself for that, because you're human. And as a society, as our culture is really just focuses so much on being productive and being a very high demand, high productive, I guess I just said that twice, but you know what I'm saying. We're not really programmed, or conditioned might be a better choice of words. We're conditioned to be moving all the time, and to be changing all the time, and to be better all of the time. I think a wellness practice is to acknowledge that, like, in the moment you're perfect, and to forgive that, to be content with who you are. I think that is a huge lesson that we need to learn. Um, as a whole, like the world, but we'll just work with like this little talk right now. So that is the practice of forgiveness, forgiving yourself for not going on that hour walk, or however long, Dr. Meredith. And, I think that that itself is a practice of wellness, is to be able to forgive. With one of my favorite quotes in my yoga practice is, yoga is the practice of tolerating the consequences of being yourself. What does that mean? Forgiving yourself, practicing the consequences of being who you are. Consequences is like a little harsh word. That's a very literal translation. But what I get from that is just leaning into it and acknowledging who you are in the given moment, wherever you are. And just if you decide to work towards like a healthier diet, or maybe coming to see me in my massage office because you want to work towards increasing range of motion in your shoulder, or you're feeling you might be having an energetic blockage somewhere, or you're having insomnia and you want to visit Julie, these little acknowledgments, you lean into that, but you're not broken in any way. And I think forgiving yourself for maybe just being where you are, I think that's the most important thing. And just all of these modalities that we offer is just to not necessarily fix anything that might be broken, but to just encourage you to live the healthiest life that you can, and not to push you to the ideal self, I guess, is what I'm really trying to get at.
And and then one of my favorite things is, okay, so you messed up today. Whatever, life happens. But tomorrow's a new day. It doesn't even have to be tomorrow. It can be 5 minutes from now. What can you do to do better? And like I said, maybe it's something small. Instead of staying up till 2 a.m. on your phone, you only stay up till 1:30. Guess what? That's still a half hour more asleep than you would have gotten the day before. So it doesn't have to be anything major, drastic, Maybe you're someone who likes to have 4 cups of coffee a day. Guys, if you give me 4 cups of coffee, watch out, because you know how I act on 1 cup of coffee.
I love Meredith coffee days.
But maybe you're like, okay, so today I had 4 cups of coffee, so tomorrow I'm only gonna drink 3 cups of coffee and have 1 cup of water instead. That's still moving in the right direction. That's showing love for your body. That's doing something good. And I think where this is all going is we think wellness is so black and white. Do this, not that. It's not. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And, I love food. I have an awesome exchange student at home who loves cooking. And if you're on my email list, you know this. The other morning, I literally had apple pie for breakfast. And you know what? It was delicious. But at the same time, I'm human. So yeah, I paired that, with my eggs, with some yogurt. I can't remember what else I had for breakfast. So was it the best choice? No. But Colleen and I sat down and enjoyed a piece of apple pie for breakfast together. And that was so fun and brought both of us so much joy sitting at the kitchen table on a Sunday morning eating apple pie for breakfast. By the way, she thinks I'm like the best host mom because sometimes I let her have dessert before dinner too. So, but like I said, it's not black and white. Desserts aren't bad. I'm not going to punish myself for having dessert. No, I'm going to weave it in with, okay, what other good choices can I have at this meal? So stop thinking in black and white. I don't even like the colors black and white. I'm more of a colorful person.
I love the notion of forgiving the expectations of what we think our wellness should be and inviting ourselves to be present in what our wellness gets to be. And there's so many times that I dive into conversations or meditations or energy work with clients where it's really pulling back those expectations and inviting them to be in themselves, like meet themselves currently, whether it's physically or energetically or spiritually. And so much of that then becomes forgiving these expectations they feel the world has for them or they have for themselves that just aren't supporting them anymore. And I think it's really powerful how so many different of the modalities that we have really offer space for them to witness that as a wholeness. I love that. I love that. And I am absolutely the one that would stay up till 1:30 in the morning. I think I'm good at midnight now.
You're like, maybe next week I'll think about 11:50.
Right?
So one other thing that comes to mind while we're talking about this, because obviously all of our healing journeys have been different. There are some times in my life when I think my body is going to feel so good from getting a massage right now. And you make that massage appointment and you get on Lindsay's table, and then afterwards you're like, I don't know if that even did anything for me. So then I'm like, okay, next option. So then I contact Karen and I'm like, hey, when can I get in with you? And then I lay down on her table and you feel like a world of difference. Now, I know we have some mutual clients in here who they'll go see Karen and they'll come out and they'll be like, that did not do it for me. And you know what? That's okay. I'm not going to lie though, being a healthcare provider and hearing that what I poured into that patient did not help is absolutely crushing. But I've also come to accept that sometimes it just means that's not what their body needed at this current time. That so and so will say John Smith's body was not ready for an adjustment. He's too guarded. He's not ready to relax. There's something else going on in there. And like I said, then that's where my mind starts turning. I start diving in, asking him more questions so I can decide, is this more a muscular problem to send him Lindsay's way? Or is this more like an internal mental spiritual stressor, and he needs to go see Karen to learn how to like calm his thoughts? So like I said, it's definitely as a provider a tough lesson to like be like, wow, I'm a failure. I can't help John Smith. I might as well just close my door and be done with work because I failed. But it's not. It's listening to your body and deciding, what else can I try? What else might be a good fit? And like I said, I've had it recently. I don't remember what I did first, massage or acupuncture, and it didn't feel right. So then I went and did the other one, and then I felt great. So, who knows what was going on with my body, but the second option was what I needed. Or maybe the first option started stirring stuff up, getting stuff moving that I was holding on to, in the second option, just kind of finished it, allowed my body to release fully whatever it was holding on through, whatever it needed to move through, whatever it may be. So just because right now you're like, I'm loving my monthly appointments with Lindsay, I'm feeling so good, doesn't mean that 2-3 months from now you're going to be like, crap, Lindsay, are you even touching me when I'm on your table? And she'll be like, oh God. And she'll be running around the office being like, guys, I'm quitting, I'm closing my business, I don't know how to help them. Because that's not life. We have to figure out what the issue is and how we can move through your current season of life.
Mhm, mhm. I love the notion. I've witnessed it in a few of my clients, how sometimes when they have experiences in chiropractic or massage or acupuncture, it brings stuff up. So then we work on moving that energy in something like a Reiki session. And I've also seen it on the flip side where, like exactly what you said, Meredith, they're not in a space to dive into that energy work yet, where their body needs to know it's safe and needs to know it's cared for on a physical level first. And I think it leans into, I feel like people experience that some people experience things more physically and some people experience things more emotionally and some people experience things more mentally. And I think it leans into finding that unique expression of that. So absolutely, you make a very valid point. And like you said, what happens now may completely work 6 months from now, or it may not, and that's okay.
Lindsay, have you ever had the feeling of, oh my God, how am I going to help this person?
Yes, I have. I have, yes. To answer it simply, yes, I have. I think, it all circles back to kind of the same response. It all depends, massage, whether it be more range of motion or more like deep tissue trigger point work. Um, Regardless if you feel it on a musculoskeletal level, um, I take solace in knowing that it does help my clients in some way, shape, or form, even if they're still feeling that knot in their shoulder. I do trust that um, the work that I do is effective, regardless if it's on produces grand results or not. And if it doesn't, I actually had a client earlier today, and we talked about exploring acupuncture. It's a really interesting thing, body work and just in general, because there's so many different levels of wellness that are affected by it, and it's not just on a physical level. It's that's the level that we can identify with, and that what we can really recognize. But if somebody, and it's happened before, it's happened, somebody's come off the table and they've still felt kind of stiff. And for when I was a younger massage therapist, yeah, I would absolutely feel guilty and like, I'm going to close the doors, I'm done, I'm a failure. But now I just realize, like, okay, one, there's more work to do, clearly, and two, where else can we work? So you just have to dig a little deeper, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love the notion of digging a little deeper. You bring up a really great point, Lindsay, and the idea that sometimes when we're doing this work and you're kind of hitting it from all sides, you're going to bring up some stuff that you might have to move through, whether it's physical issues you have to move through or figure out, or whether it's energetic, whatever. Chances are along the healing journey, you're going to kind of bring up something that hits on a level that you have to work through versus it being assigned to just not. And that, yeah, those sessions where something comes up to be addressed in a meditation, or maybe it's released in a massage or what have you, that sometimes that hits a little harder and is like, okay, this may be hard, but it comes up to be addressed and released versus something that you have to hang on to and avoid forever.
yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I've really noticed, um massage therapy is a very intimate practice. I mean, when you think about it, the whole process is pretty intimate. And I find that the clients who really struggle with receiving the benefits most are the ones that have the nonstop chatter during the session. And that tells me that there's other things that these clients are working through aside from physical ailments, just to disassociate a bit from what they might be feeling physically, but also what could be attached to that physical sensation emotionally or mentally. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. And that's when I send them to you, Karen.
Well, I think our physical experiences come up and in life sometimes to lead us to some of these other things. So like I know originally when I started meditating over a decade ago, I started because I wanted help with my migraines and insomnia. And I mean, clearly I still stay up late, but I own it now. But it's that the physical experience brought me to my meditation practice, which I'd have to say shifted my entire life. But that physical, like you said, we experience things on that physical level, and addressing it on a physical level also includes addressing it on the energetic and emotional. And I think it's not really sustainable for us to look at just the physical or just the mental or just the emotional or energetic anymore. I think that we are diving into the multidimensional self that, and we get to allow all of that. And if we don't allow all of that, it gets a little louder sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Elevated cortisol levels. That's
Fight or flight.
case in point right there. Hello, trigger point in shoulders, tension, headaches, like insomnia, poor digestion, like all of that is going to manifest physically. So it's so funny. Some people, I shouldn't say people, some practitioners will argue, well, you need to address the physical first, and then you can tap into the energetic, because once you loosen up all of the your muscles physically, that creates the path for energy to flow. And then other practitioners will say, no, you need to move the chi, you need to move the energy in order to get your muscles to move effectively. So it's really interesting. You can't really go wrong, I guess, as long as something's moving, things are working. But it just is like, whatever works best for the client at the specific time. But it's just interesting because it all falls, regardless, like all of the external influences fall into onto an individual on so many different levels. And it's a matter of finding the root of whatever needs to be released or healed, whether it be approaching Reiki, chiropractic, acupuncture, or massage therapy first, and then working through peeling back the onion.
I love the onion.
But then I think that brings us to our next point too. Like Lindsay said, we don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but we know it needs to be addressed. And with that, you need to find a practitioner that you trust, that even if it's you only trust for a season of life, but at least it's getting you started to then move you on to the rest of your healing journey, whatever that may look like. And then, I don't know, I think trust is a huge piece of it, because, I don't know, let's be real, along this healing journey, I've had some practitioners that I don't trust. Guess what? I last there one visit and then, nope, let's find something else. And I know us girls, we've talked about this a lot. The one thing that comes to mind is I really wanted to work on my mental health. I wanted to find a therapist. Guys, finding a therapist is like interviewing to find your future spouse that you want to spend the rest of your life with. I went through 4 therapists in, I don't know, a 3 or 4 month span. It was awful trying to find someone who resonated with me, who understood where I was at. But that's kind of why we're doing these talks though too, so you can learn who we are and be like, wow, I really like what she has to say, or yes, that lines up with my values and what I believe, or nope, I'm not going to touch that with a 12-foot pole. Because again, we're all on this journey together trying to figure out what works best for each of us in the current season of life that we're in.
This is really random, but I thought when you were referencing the chicken or the egg, which came first, I completely thought of your post that you had the other day, Lindsay, of your chicken. I think she was like in a tree or something. And the only thing I could think of is whatever came first, the chicken or the egg, we get to take our chicken out of the tree. Like that is rolling through my head. The idea that we get to take ourselves out of the situations that don't work for us and find the situations that do work for us. I love that. Yeah,
Love it.
absolutely. I love
And
that.
yeah, sometimes it's messy. Sometimes you like got this perfect vision of exactly what you want and it goes smoothly. But then that takes me to the graphic too on social media, that says you want your healing journey to look like the perfect straight line, but sometimes it's all these twists and turns and backwards and upside down, and eventually we make it up here. So it's not going to be pretty, guys. It's not going to be perfect, but we have faith in you and we know you can become a healthier version of yourself.
Absolutely. And it's about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's a healing journey. It's not the end result. When we only focus on it's the end result and that's where I'm okay, that's where I'm good, and we pin all of the goodness on that end result, we forget that we have a responsibility to the journey and the process of it. And we can only do that for ourselves. We can't expect others to do it because we're only working and creating space to support you with what you show up with, whereas there's a responsibility as the individual to bring your whole self to the experience and to continue to advocate for yourself and share openly.
That's right. And kind of like what you were saying, Karen, it's if you're so focused, if you're so focused on the end goal, are you really practicing wellness? Just a thought.
Exactly.
But not
Absolutely.
only that, you're missing the beautiful journey along the way. You're missing who you become when you remove one big stressor from your life or you solve one big problem. Like, enjoy who you are in that moment. But okay, again, that's not your ideal person. But guess what? You're better than you were. So you're still improving. We're still healing. We're still peeling back those layers.
Mhm. And let yourself stay accountable to move through the layers that are messy. Like I keep thinking about as I've started this process of exercising, it has allowed me to be physically present in my body. And it has allowed me to witness my capabilities. And in that process, as I've continued this physical experience, it actually brought up a whole lot of worth stuff that had been hiding in my solar plexus. And still staying accountable because that physical experience is important. And later on, it might not be, but that just popped up and that may be off topic and I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. So I don't know if this is off topic or not, but this was something that I was really thinking a lot about when I was kind of considering where we're going to go with this town hall talk. But I was thinking a lot about how, and this circles back to how we're kind of culturally conditioned to be very productive and to produce all of the time and very fast-paced, high-demand kind of society. I'm so sorry. My dog is having a fit behind me. Fast-paced,
life.
high-demand society. What's that?
It's life. That's
It's
what
life.
happens.
He's stuck to me like glue. I love him dearly, but back to my point. So I don't know if this resonates with anyone, but this was something that came up in one of my classes as a student recently, and we were talking about this fast-paced, high-demand culture that we live in. You know, we get up, we rush to work, we get work done, we do the best that we can, we try to be these, the best versions of ourselves, and we keep striving to be that, of course. But when we get home, we're completely depleted. We're crashing. You know, we're not eating good foods, like I said before. We're watching Netflix, or we're ordering fast food, as far as like even bad foods. We're spending hours and hours on social media, and then we're not sleeping. And to me, this was something that we discussed in class, and I thought this was really profound. We're just throwing ourselves from one end of the spectrum to another. And that's just our body's natural way of trying to find balance. It's like, okay, we're in this fight or flight response all day. So we throw ourselves into the parasympathetic nervous system and the rest and digest. And then, you know, we're just completely out of balance, just going like this all of the time, when really we want to get to more of a baseline. So aside from all of these practices that we offer, I think a really good question to ask is, what are our clients doing outside of our offices? What kind of lifestyle, like we've talked about this a little bit earlier, staying awake until 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, the diet thing, trying to boost these immune system hormones. You know, what can we do to support our immune system in this crazy weather that we're experiencing right now? Obviously, because we're in a season of fall, and it's like, with sickness is like an imbalance is very pronounced at this time of year. But really the question is, what are we doing outside of the massage office or the chiropractic office, or our energy and meditation sessions? What accountability can we take and for our lives to really live that wellness kind of lifestyle without, you know, with loving kindness and without judgment and forgiveness and all of that on top of it? I think that's something that I know I'm trying to kind of encourage a little bit more in my practice. When people leave, I'll give them like homework, like, okay, like just listen to yourself, pay attention to yourself when you're done, you know, with your day, and how are you facilitating your day? You know, what are your thoughts throughout your day? And how are you when you get home? You know, do you eat standing up? Do you eat sitting down? Things like that, I think, are really important. Those are like the fundamentals of wellness in general. So I just thought I wanted to touch upon that a little bit.
Yes,
love
yes,
it.
yes, yes.
I have two things to go off that. So one, the first thing that comes to mind when you say that you give homework, I give homework too, but I like to keep it very simple because, you know, we don't want to stress ourselves out worrying about homework. But I have a handful of patients that come to mind that remind me so much of the ones on your table that you say they just talk, 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 talk the entire time. And at first, when I told the one lady this, she like thought I was joking. I was like, go home and do nothing. Well, I can't do that. I have blah, 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 blah. And the whole list went on. And I was like, that's exactly why I'm telling you to go do nothing. Even if it's just for 20 minutes. Well, like Karen said, 5 minutes, start small. We don't even have to jump into a whole day of nothing. But like Lindsay just said, we're so go, go, go. Our bodies don't know how to operate at a slower pace. We're either running 100 miles an hour or we're flat on the ground asking for like oxygen and a defibrillator because we don't know if we're going to wake up again. So that's huge. And then the other thing about cold and flu season right now, again, everyone is asking, what can I do to take care of my immune system? I get it, guys. You want to take care of your immune system, but this is kind of like asking for water once the fire's already started. If you took steps to boost your immune system the other 360 days out of the year, we wouldn't be having to rush the water in to put the fire out. Now, it's really simple, and I'm jumping ahead of myself because I'm pretty sure this is my newsletter for next week because this is how many times I've talked about the immune system this last week. You have to nourish your body. You have to give it food to work properly. Your immune system needs energy to work. It requires a lot of energy. So by skipping meals or eating like the bare minimum, your immune system's not going to have enough to work. By staying up too late or getting up too early, not having that time to rest and reset, your immune system's not going to have the energy that it needs to work properly. So, yeah, unfortunately, it kind of sucks when I'm like, yeah, I see you're all stuffed up and congested and you're not feeling well, but guess what? It's your body's sign to take a break, to slow down. And yeah, it's weird that it happens right now in the fall when the weather's changing, but think about summer. You've been go, 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 literally running from family gathering to work to trip to this party to this gathering to this. Oh, I got to go back to work now. When did you slow down and relax? So now that the weather's changing, now that it's getting darker early, your body's like, yes, let's nail them. Let's tell them it's time to lay down and relax. So, like I said, unfortunately, I'm terribly sorry you're sick, but you should have done better to take care of yourself before.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And you really hit the nail on the head when you think about it. You know, the whole natural world around us is starting to slow down. Did you hear that? That was my dog Rufus. Like, he totally agreed with me.
He's just like, oh.
Yes.
Yep, time to rest.
I don't know where Echo is, but he's probably soaking into his meditation too. His
Absolutely.
taking that
Absolutely.
deep breath, release everything off your chest. But
Yeah.
we need that, guys.
Yeah.
Dogs aren't silly. They're
No,
actually
they
kind of
know.
smart.
They know everything. But even just paying attention to the surroundings, you know, I think it's really interesting that like the weather is crazy and chaotic and we're transitioning like what you were saying from summer to winter. You know, it's like sunny 1 second and then it's rainy and then it's windy and it might be snowing. Who knows? Like
Right.
It's important for us because we are, you know, a part of this. Like I keep saying macrocosm, we're the microcosm and the macrocosm. We're a part of all of these fluctuations and changes. So of course we're going to be affected by it. That's why it's more important to do these like subtle little wellness boosting practices to kind of combat these crazy fluctuating temperatures and weather conditions, and to kind of follow that cycle. Also, the days are the day, not the days themselves, but the daylight is kind of ending sooner. So it's our body's natural response to kind of want to follow that. But again, our cultural conditioning says, nope, it's been summer. Like we are go, 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 go all the time. Even though the daylight is kind of shortening, we need to kind of stay up 9 o'clock to be productive, blah, blah, blah. So it's just interesting paying attention to.
Turn the lights up a little brighter. That always keeps you awake, right?
Yeah, the cell phone, the cell phone lights. You know, that keeps us up. It's literally wires our brains to stay awake longer. Blue light in particular, I don't know why. Which again, we stop producing melatonin, and then again, immunity is like shot. So it's
It's a vicious cycle, guys. So you get to decide. Do you want to stay on this hamster wheel, or are you slowly putting one foot off the wheel? Maybe eventually you'll just fall off. Or are you going to be like Karen and just dive head first off the hamster wheel, and we're not living like that anymore? You get to decide, though. That's a great thing.
Yeah. The one thing that keeps coming to my mind is when you talk about those notions of the importance of implementing it at home and changes of the seasons and maintaining this consistent all the way up here all the time energy is creating that safety and stability. I cannot tell you the amount of sessions that I have started where we have connected with root chakra energy first. And the idea of just simply creating that energy in the body for safety and stability and implementing, helping clients figure out in their life where they can take those moments to slow down and how they can take those moments to slow down. And whether it's sitting on the porch and looking at the view, or staying in the shower, or having a bath for a little bit longer, or setting the cell phone down and doing a meditation or what have you. It's that notion of recognizing where we get to put those pauses in and learning, reteaching our bodies that it's okay to be safe, stable, and balanced and not busy and chaotic. We don't have to survive. We get to settle and thrive.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Well, I think that was awesome.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts that anybody has that we need to touch on?
No.
Okay.
I think we did
So-
really good.
I appreciate these talks. I appreciate the notion of that. I don't know, I guess for me that continued, I get to be accountable and it gets to not be a swear word. I get to continue to embrace that, that forgiveness and that release of judgment and find that self-expression along the way. I think that's a really powerful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think ultimately being kind to yourself in the process,
Love
For-
it.
for sure.
And then knowing that we're here to support you however we can, but at the end of the day, still up to you.
We work together with you, but we can't be responsible for it for you.
Yep. Sweet. Well, I hope you can join us next month. We'll work on this week picking out a date, picking out a topic of what we're going to do. So stay tuned. But like I mentioned in the last email I sent out, I don't know, some email. If you have a topic that you want us to cover, please just let us know. Right now, we're more or less just putting together like what have been common themes that we're all talking about in the office. So just know these topics are not set in stone. And if you have something, we'll be more than happy to dive into it.
Very